Hello everyone, I welcome you to my channel. Everyone knows that India is growing rapidly since many years. It is considered to be one of the greatest economies in the world. It is overtaking China in all the ways possible, and there is no doubt in telling that India can potentially be one among the top leading countries across the world. Firstly, let us ask ourselves, is it really going to be possible, or it's just an overrated cliche?
From many years, India has been called as a developing country. Clearly, no one exactly knows how long does it take for India to become as a developed.
Some people depict that India would take another decade, while others state that it would take more than 2 decades for India to become a developed country. But no one's really ready to ask, why is it taking so much time? Are we really cared about it? If yes, then how is it going to matter to us? Hi, I'm Shri Dondale. In the next few minutes, I'm going to address to some of the major problems faced by our Indian women. And these problems are impacting our economic growth way more than what we thought it might.
First, let us understand what constitutes our economic growth. A country's economic growth doesn't just include GDP. There are many other factors that contributes to our economic growth. The first is natural resources, followed by infrastructure, population, human capital, health, education, technology. Not the least but labor force participation rate, precisely been called as LFPR, particularly women's labor force participation rate. So what is labor force participation rate? It is the percentage of population from 16 years and older that is working or actively looking for work.
However, in 2004 to 2005, women's labor force participation rate was 42.7%, and in 2020 it came down to 27.4%, and it was before COVID.
Aftermath of COVID crisis, the women's LFPR rate has been still more declined, and that's something to worry about.
It's been a known fact that in a growing economy, as the job opportunities increases, education level rises, more women enter into paid workforce. In Indian scenario, nonetheless, it's been exactly the opposite.
Indian GDP has grown at about 6 to 7% per year since 1991, since the liberalization of the economy. Education of Indian women has risen, fertility rates have fallen, and access to cooking gas and water has improved.
But we need to ask ourselves whether women are voluntarily dropping out of work or they are being forced out.
The data shows that out of 4 Indian women, 3 are neither working nor seeking for paid work, putting India among the bottom 10 countries in the world in terms of women's contribution to their economy.
Now let us focus on the problems faced by our Indian women. First comes cultural attitudes. There's a widespread belief that when a woman works for wages, it's an indicator of low family status.
Moreover, the women from higher status families are less likely to work outside the home.
The widely held belief that a woman's primary place should be in the home
Is depicted not only in Bollywood movies but over mass media. There is constraint of job opportunities for women in India, and the home responsibilities wouldn't be shared among men. This leads to divided focus and compromised results.
Highly educated women in India still bear the primary responsibilities of raising children, managing the home after their marriages. The second is jobless growth. When the GDP grows faster than the employment opportunities, resulting to unemployment, and this trend affects women more severely than men, particularly rural women.
Women's labor force participation in India fell by 6.9% between 1997 and 2018, leading to higher unemployment rates. Women are worse affected than men. It was reported that 92% of the female workers in India earn less than 10,000 per month. The UN report finds that marriage leads women to drop out of the labor force. In South Asia, the average participation rate of married women in the labor force is just 29.1%. Gender discrimination is also responsible for the low participation of women in the workforce.
Indian women will take up jobs only if they are available nearby to their place, even if the pay is low.
The Rural Employment Plan mandated that 30% of jobs to be given to women and pay equal to that of men in locations close to their villages. The result was an increase in women's participation in the workforce. About 45% of the women enrolled for jobs in rural India. Quick facts: India's experience suggests that we can't depend solely on economic growth to improve women's LFPR. The right kind of growth is providing equal job opportunities for women. That's the only way forward to achieve this.
India needs to critically examine the nature of its development. And even in the COVID crisis, it needs to take measures evenly considering women's too.
India has a phenomenal population levels and a particularly high working age population. You should know that working age population consists of people from 15 to 59 years old. That acts as an advantage and it plays an immense benefit to us in the country's growth.
Considering these factors, our Indian leaders can understand what our women actually want. First, the location of jobs.
Rural and urban women value regular and part-time jobs close to their home, which allow them to manage both workforce and family.
Second, our Indian Anganwadi plays a major role in creating the job opportunities for women.
There are more than 1.3 million of these village health centers, which cater to pregnant and breastfeeding women and children younger than 6, and they employ 2.5 million workers. They currently suffer from human resources. This could be possibly the best idea for rural women to get employed.
Third, motivating and promoting Indian craft.
Handmade goods sector would raise women's employment significantly. It provides opportunities for large number of women to work from home.
The best example is Ruma Devi. She belonged to a poor family in Rajasthan. She dropped out of school when she was in 8th standard through her bewitching handicraft skills. Now she owns an NGO in Rajasthan and she has made over 22,000 women self-dependent. Fourth is encouraging women farmers and boosting the growth of women self-help groups. The Indian cities need to improve their infrastructure. Indians must also know that our India has the highest number of female pilots in the world. There are currently 12.4% of female commercial pilots in India. Next in line is Ireland with distant 9.9% of female pilots. And coming to the percentage of female CEOs in India has grown from 6.7% at the start of 2020 to 7.8% at the end of 2020. But in some cases, women are voluntarily dropping out of their work due to restrictions at their home and due to socio-cultural factors. Given that the novel coronavirus is likely to cause further job losses and possibly an even steeper decline in female labor force participation rate, our Indian government needs to quickly reimagine its strategy for reviving the economy, keeping the women of the nation in mind. If barriers to women's workforce participation were removed, India could gain a lot more. Estimate suggests that the country could potentially increase its 2025 GDP by $700 billion with a best case scenario of $2.9 trillion. We should know that women are not just made to serve their families. They have got equal responsibility towards the economic growth of the country as men. They have the role to play in our economic growth. We are just one step back from making India an incredible place. Let's pledge today to encourage women in all the aspects possible and to stand behind them and always support and to cheer them. Thank you. If you like the content of this video and if you feel that men and women are actually to be treated as equal, then share this video as much as possible, give it a thumbs up and never ever forget to subscribe to my channel.